Hi, welcome back to Accountants Corner. My name is Proscovia. I'm a certified public accountant in Tanzania, registered by the National Board of Accountants and Auditors. And today I would like to share with you about the Code of Conduct for Accountants and Auditors. So what does this mean? These are the ethical standards that guide the accountants and auditors when they are working either with their organizations as their employee or as they're working with their clients. So the first code of conduct is integrity. What does it mean when you say integrity? An accountant is supposed to be honest and straightforward in all business and professional relationships. And when you say about straightforward is when you say it is yes, it has to be yes. And when you say no, it has to be no. So what you prepare or what you present in the course of your work, it has to reflect the truth. So when you say that the sales for this period is 10,000 shillings, then it has to reflect the truth. And that is what means when we say about being honest and straightforward. And an accountant is not supposed by any means to provide information that is misleading, because as accountants, we are entrusted with the resources of the organization and of course the financial resources. So there are people who depend on our information. For example, in the course of preparing the financial statements of organization, there are so many users who uses the financial statements in making the decisions. For example, the shareholders use financial statements to analyze the financial position of an organization or of a company to see whether they should continue investing or withhold. The banks, the financial institutions, they use the financial statements to see whether this business is operating well and whether they can lend money, and even other investors, they use those information. So as an accountant, you're supposed to reflect the truth in the financial statements and not try to provide misleading information. And that is what by being ethical. And of course, the National Board of Accountants and Auditors in Tanzania, which regulates the accountant and auditors, can also hold you accountable when they see that the information that you have provided is not true and fair. The second code of conduct is about objectivity. An accountant is supposed to be objective. And in this case, a professional accountant should not allow bias, undue influence, or any other conflict of interest that can affect his or her work. And what does this mean? That an accountant, when he's doing his work, is supposed to make decisions based on the facts and the truth rather than favoring others or trying to be biased. And in that case, an accountant is supposed to avoid undue influence that can impair his or her independence, trying also to avoid conflict of interest that can make him make decisions which are not fair. I'll give you an example. Sometimes an accountant can engage in procurement of things, and in that procurement, for example, you have made the tenders, you have published the tenders, and so many companies have applied. And you may find that one of the company is of a family member. Maybe your uncle owns that company. And in that case, you are likely not to be fair. You are likely to be biased because you have, probably because of the familiarity, because these people, you know them, they are family, so you might find yourself in a position that can impair your independency. How is an accountant supposed to act in a situation like that? First, an accountant, where he sees that there are some of the things that can impair his or her independence or is likely to cause conflict of interest. For example, in the case of procurement, which I've just mentioned, an accountant is supposed to declare. For example, some of the organizations shows how you're supposed to handle situations like that. You're supposed to declare. For example, initially you are in the part of that procurement, and you are maybe in the part of the decision making. But in this case, because there is a company which you are likely, in that decision, you're likely to be biased because of either the familiarity that you have with with one of the company that submitted the tender, you're supposed to declare with the organization to your supervisors, and probably they might exclude you in that decision making, so that whatever the decision that is made, you are not you do not put any pressure or try to put an environment that can favor you. So you are allowed also to declare conflict of interest and therefore be removed in that decision making process. Okay, so sometimes, but also accountants can encounter in a situation whereby it's not really a family member, but there are different vendors who you want to review their services and make decision on who to work with. In that case, you're also supposed to based on the facts and the qualifications, and not try to give to offer service to someone who is likely to maybe give you something, because that also can impair your independence, because you are likely to receive something and therefore you are making decisions based on that and not on the qualifications. So as accountants, we shouldn't allow bias, and therefore our decisions should be fair based on the facts that have been presented and based on the qualifications. The other code is about professional competence and due care. Accountants, when we are either employed or maybe we are working with the clients, we have been contracted with their clients, those people expect from us deliverables which are of quality, meaning that an accountant should be in a position to deliver the results that is the intended and with excellence. And that one can be achieved when you actually know what you're supposed to do. And in this case, an accountant should be committed, I can say, to update him or herself with the changes that happen in the profession, so that they provide a quality service to their employers and to their clients. And how can you actually do this? Because there are so many changes that happen. For example, at the end of, in every year we have a finance bill that comes. There are some changes which comes with the regulatory bodies with the country, and therefore an accountant should be committed to ensure that he or she is updated. He or she has the necessary skills to provide or to deliver what the clients or the employer expects. And how can you do this? There are, for example, the National Board of Accountants and Auditors in Tanzania has various seminars and trainings which are run throughout the year, and through that you can actually learn the changes that happen in the profession, the changes that happen with the financial reporting standards, etc. But also some of the accounting and auditing firms also do those trainings, and you can also use that to increase your competence by learning different things in those areas that relate with the profession. Another one is confidentiality. So an accountant is supposed to maintain the confidential information of their clients or employer, and not disclose them with either third parties or any other person is not supposed to have those information. We acquire different information in the course of our work. Some relate to the personal information, how much people are being paid. Some relates to the where the company gets its money, who are the customers actually, who are the funders, the donors of that organization. So some of these information are very top secret. In the case of the business relationship, should be kept confidential. We are not supposed to disclose this information unless there is a legal or professional right to do so. And this does not end only on disclosing the information with the third party. Also, an accountant is not supposed to use the information that he or she has acquired in the business relationship for his or her own personal gain. For example, I have been working with this company for so many years, and I know some of the customers, some of the clients that can actually pay me very well. So sometimes I might be tempted to go around the organization and try to use these people for my personal gain. So that also is not ethical. The last one is professional behavior. An accountant is supposed to act in a professional way, is supposed to comply with the national laws and regulations, and should not act in a way that discredits the profession. So the accountants in most organizations, they're also put in a place of compliance to ensure that those organizations comply with the national laws and regulations. So we have to play our role well and ensure that our organization, our clients are compliant to avoid cases like penalties and fines. So we have to ensure that we are very good in that area, and we also show willingness to comply with the laws and regulations that we are working under. Also, as accountants, we are not supposed to act in a way that can discredit our profession. From the way we act, the way we interact with people should give credit to the profession, and people shouldn't have a reason to question, like, is this really a professional? Yeah, so when people interact with us, they should see that there is a very good way of the way we do our things and the way we interact with the people and the community. Those are the code of conduct for accountants and auditors, and we are supposed to comply with them, because failure to do that can also result to punishment from the regulatory bodies and etc., but it also can cost our employers and clients that are working with. I hope you have learned it, and of course, if you're also not an accountant, I think these are also good, and you can even apply in any other profession, I guess, because they aim to make sure that we do our work with high standards, and which can also give better results for our organization and clients. So join me in the next session. Thank you.